Hey all, in this video, which is going to be our second part in our Monopoly mini-series, we're going to take a look at efficiency in monopolies. And we're really going to answer the question, are monopolies efficient? Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so the second part of Monopoly. And so in the last video, we really went over just what the Monopoly graph looks like and the different characteristics. And so this video is a little bit shorter because we're going to go over the question, well, are monopolies efficient? The answer is no. And so we could technically end the video right now, but I want to go over exactly why monopolies are not efficient with you. So monopolies are inefficient for really three reasons. One, they charge a higher price. So remember, right? With our monopoly graph, we have our price and quantity, our downward sloping demand and marginal revenue curve, our MC. And so we still want to go to our MR equals MC to get our profit maximizing quantity. But for our profit maximizing price, right, we have to go all the way up to the demand curve, right, to get to the price here. And so we're going to say monopolies charge a higher price than they actually need to. We are also going to say that they are not allocatively efficient and not productively efficient. Remember, allocatively efficient is just when price equals marginal cost, and productively efficient is when price equals the minimum of our ATC. And on our graph, right, we know that the MR equals MC point, the profit maximizing spot, is not productively efficient and is also not allocatively efficient either. And because of that, monopolies are just entirely inefficient in the purely economic sense. And so here, right, first of all, let's just take a moment to admire this graph that I made. I'm really proud of this. But in perfect competition, right, consumer and producer surplus are maximized here. So if you notice, right, our consumer surplus goes all the way out to our equilibrium point where supply meets demand. And the same is true for our producer surplus. And so that's what we mean when we say that both consumer and producer surplus are maximized, right? They go all the way out to where supply meets demand. However, right, with monopolies, and so this also applies to oligopolies and monopolistic competition, really any market structure we're talking about within Unit 4, right? At MR equals MC, which is this point right here, a monopolist is going to produce less. Because remember, we stated, right, that our marginal cost curve, right, above the AVC is basically our supply curve here. So we can relabel, right, our marginal cost curve as our supply curve. And so at this point, blue is where technically this firm should be maximizing both consumer and producer surplus. So in a perfectly efficient world, this monopoly will be producing at QE. However, right, because they're producing where MR equals MC, right, they are not really producing there, right? They're producing at this QM point. So they're producing less. And then they're overcharging, right, because they're going up to the demand curve. And so they're charging at PM when at the supply meets demand, when they're maximizing their efficiency, they're going to charge PE. So based on our graph, our monopolies are inefficient, right? Because here they're underproducing and overcharging consumers here. And so this is what it looks like for us. So the red obviously is our consumer surplus. Remember, consumer surplus is anything above equilibrium and below the demand curve. And so our equilibrium price is PM. So anything above our equilibrium price, which is PM yet again, and below our demand curve represents consumer surplus. So in this case, it still looks like a triangle, right? Right. And then here, right, this odd quadrilateral shape, right? This right here is our producer surplus. And so because monopolies are inefficient, there has to be deadweight loss. Because remember, deadweight loss is another term. It's synonymous with inefficiency. And so our deadweight loss, right, is what's in yellow right here, right? This triangle represents the area of inefficiency that monopolies have, which yet again is deadweight loss. And so are monopolies productively efficient? Does price equal the minimum of our ATC? Well, the answer is no, right? So if we draw our graph again, right, and yet again, for sake of time, I'm not going to label it, but please make sure you label your axes as well, right? We are producing, let's say they're making a profit, right? We are producing right here, right? And then ATC is right there. The minimum of the ATC is where it intersects with marginal cost, and we know we're not producing there. And so for monopolies, they're not producing at all at the lowest possible cost, which yet again is the minimum of the ATC. And because of that, monopolies are not productively efficient. Are monopolies allocatively efficient? Does price equal marginal cost? Right? The answer yet again is no, right? The monopoly is underproducing their goods. So yet again, right, let's draw out our graph, but this time we don't need to draw out our ATC, right? Remember, demand is also equal to our price here. So here, right, we're producing where MR equals MC, right? But the price is all the way up here. So does price equal our marginal cost? Right? The answer is no, right? Because our marginal cost is down here, but the price is up here. So our price is greater. And so because of that, monopolies are not allocatively efficient as well. So at the end of the day, monopolies, oligopolies, and also monopolistically competitive firms are not efficient in any way, shape, or form. There's always going to be areas of deadweight loss. So they are not productively efficient, which yet again, productively efficient is going to be price equals the minimum of the ATC. They're not allocatively efficient where price equals marginal cost. And so they are not either types of efficient. They're not productively efficient, and they're also not allocatively efficient. All right, so that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys learned a lot, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.